Welcome back. I sure hope you're excited to talk about money, because I sure am. Or perhaps you found yourself in Japan for an extended period of time and you still don't have a card. In either case, you're going to need to deal with the Japanese currency. So let's go through those together. Trevor in Tokyo. For better or worse, for the last 30 years, Japan has been mostly stagnant. There hasn't been much growth in the economy, but at the same time, there hasn't been a significant amount of inflation. So, the relative value of the currency has more or less maintained up until the last few years, where the 2020 pandemic caused a crash in the currency and subsequent inflation. Japan is famous for having incredibly low interest rates, and in fact, up to about 5 years ago, even had a negative interest rate to try to get people to go out and spend their money. So let's go look at what that money looks like with coins, koka, and bills, genkan. Recall that the Japanese currency is currently about 145 to 150 yen to $1. So, for practical purposes, you can think of 1 yen as being somewhat equivalent to 1 cent. Let's start with the smallest currency. This is a single yen coin. You'll notice the big 1 on the front. Yes, indeed, that means 1. It weighs exactly 1 gram, so it can be used as a weight to actually weigh out in a metric system. Similar to the US penny, the cost to produce is more than the value of the 1 yen. The next value is the 5 yen coin, as I'll show here. Now you'll notice on this coin, there's a hole in the middle, but there's another interesting fact about this coin. This is the only coin in the Japanese currency which is denoted only in Japanese numerals. You won't find any Arabic numerals on this coin. All other pieces of Japanese tender have Arabic numerals on them. The tax rate in Japan for most purchases is either 8% on food or 10% on other items. So, to avoid having to give change back and to deal with the annoyance of carrying around change, most stores denote their prices in such a way that after taxes, it's usually rounded down to the nearest 5 yen. The next coin we're going to show is the 10 yen coin. As you'll see here, it tends to be fairly shiny, and it has a 10 on it. That's pretty easy to work with. This would correspond to the US dime. The next coin is the 50 yen coin, as you'll see here, which has a hole in the middle. And on one side is the chrysanthemum. Now the chrysanthemum plant is the official plant. Now, the chrysanthemum in Japan corresponds to the imperial dynasty, and the throne in Japan is the chrysanthemum throne. So the currency is denoted on the 50 yen coin, which would correspond to the $half in the American banking system. The next coin is the practical everyday coin, corresponding to the 100 yen coin. This would be equivalent to our $1 bill. On one side, we have in Arabic numerals 100, and on the other side are the cherry blossoms or the sakura plant, which I've mentioned in a previous video. It can correspond to the image of Japan. Depending on what you want exactly to eat, this could buy you a drink, this could buy you a pack of tofu, this could buy you some vegetables, it could buy you a loaf of bread. The final coin in our roster is the 500 yen coin. So the 500 yen coin is 5/100s. It is in the American banking system, this would correspond to the $5 bill. But in Japan, it's a coin. So it's important to keep in mind that when you have your change, some of these coins actually have a relatively high value. So some places will serve a one coin meal. So you simply pay with the 500 yen coin. Those are all the coins in the Japanese currency system. So now we have the bills. What are the three main bills in Japanese society? The first is the 1,000 yen bill, as you'll see here. On one side is a scientist in Japan, and on the other is the Great Wave, a famous art piece. The 1,000 yen bill would correspond to our $10 bill. But in practice, this is probably going to be the smallest piece of coinage you have in your wallet unless you're carrying around a lot of change. This is enough to buy some groceries, a restaurant meal, some clothes if you go to a secondhand store. It's the primary bill that most machines will take. Note that we're going to skip over the newer 2,000 yen bill, which I have yet to actually see in society. The second major bill in Japanese society is the 5,000 yen bill. So on one side, we also have a scientist, a female scientist, mind you. And on the other side is the wisteria plant, which is another type of flower. Finally, we have the man. Now, man in Japan corresponds to 10,000. So 100 man would be 1 million in the US system. But the one man bill looks like this. On one side, we don't have a scientist. We have a industrialist who's the father of Japanese modern capitalism. And on the backside is Tokyo Station. Now, the one mon, the 10,000 yen bill, would be about our $100. So one Benjamin Franklin. In practice, most people tend to carry at least a couple of these in their wallet to handle bigger purchases. Different series of these bills have different people, but it's the same general idea. The 1,000 yen bill corresponds to a scientist. The $5,000 bill is given in purple and is given as a famous woman. And the $10,000 bill is a major reformer, industrialist, entrepreneur. This has been Trevor in Tokyo. See ya next time.